Now, many people work very hard to make it to the corporate world, but my next guest, well, he did that and then he gave it all up to pursue his passion for poetry. London-based Ghalib Lawn is now a full-time poet and spoken word artist. So good, in fact, that last year he was a finalist at New York's Poetry Slam, and he's about to release a short film on the piece of work that he performed there. Ghalib, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in.
Ankur, thank you for having me.
First of all, I've got to say, I've listened to some of you and I thought to myself, your voice would be a great soundtrack for something very soothing. I don't know, something, or I could hear it on an advert, or I could hear it on a cinematic screen. So I'm glad I can sort of put a voice to the face and the name now. So.
That's very kind. If Attenborough retires, and I hope you can be my reference point.
100%. I'll put a word in if I can for the great man.
In 2019, I'm lifting off the veil of my own New Year's resolutions. And actually, I'm abandoning the entire thing. For this year, I'm giving up on making January promises that end by March. So instead, I'm going ahead full steam, marching towards making 2019 the year of habits and not goals. I leave it to Messi and Ronaldo to figure out who's the greatest of them all. For greatness isn't an act, but an action repeated again and again until the walls fall down, brick by brick, day by day. So in 2019, I made it my way to start my day by catching the 5:40 a.m. train to make it in time for the Muslim prayer said before dawn is nigh. For if we want to be the change we wish to see, I'll start by connecting to the source of all divinity and then proceed to build habits that start with loving more. In fact, excessively, because love doesn't hold a numerical value or a visa time limit entry.
But where did your passion from poetry stem from then?
Oh, God.
Because I've been told reliably by a member of our team that are you named after the famous poet Mirza Ghalib?
Yeah, so Mirza Ghalib was almost like the equivalent of probably Jay-Z for like the modern generation.
Right, okay.
For 19th century India.
Right.
A person who almost redesigned the way language was perceived, and he was seen and celebrated as arguably the greatest poet of South Asia. So being named after him, perhaps there's an uncanny resemblance.
Yeah.
At the age of about 11, my mother had someone who came and taught me poetry for about 2-3 months.
Oh, wow, okay.
And he passed away soon after, but he left a book for my sister and myself, which was of William Wordsworth. So he used to get us to learn his poetry. And that always stuck with me. And he was an old Sri Lankan man who was an interpreter for the Home Office and just had this deep desire and love to share the power of poetry. And for me as a kid, I was like, this is quite fun. Like words rhyme. Oh, that's quite interesting. But what he taught us, even at that very young age, was it's not about the rhyming. Look at what the words are saying. Look at why he's saying it. And to me, I was always fascinated. I was like, wow, I've got a very curious mind. So as a child, I was like, that's weird. I want to sit down and understand this. And then by the time I was about 17, my grandmother passes away. And my poetry starts to then be about capturing every single key moment in my life. And
So,
sorry.
No, carry on. I just meant to say like small snapshots of your life. You were just detailing.
Exactly. I was detailing, and then it almost got a bit comical. By the time I get to university, I had friends and stuff who were asking me to write for their other halves without them knowing. So to the extent that one person, I wrote for him for when he was proposing, and she never knew.
She does now.
Well, they got divorced, so I can understand why. But I mean, like, it is what it is. But, I think he's happily ever after married now. But yes, I used to then write almost vicariously, where people would tell me their stories.
Wow.
And, one story was about someone who met a girl, and it'd been 7 days. So I wrote a poem called 7 Days. And it wasn't the Craig David remix. It was a poem about what that 7 days...
I was thinking, I didn't want to say it.
So, it was something that enabled me to, in various outlets, just express... artistic form.